and welcome to this morning's webinar. This is an introduction or an overview of Project Insight version 9.2. We just released it today, so I'm just going to introduce Cynthia West over here at Project Insight, and she'll show you guys around. Cynthia?
Yes, hello everybody. Today, if you do have questions, you are on mute only, and you can go ahead and put your questions into the question manager. So we'll just go ahead and get started. (9.2), as all of you know, was recently released, and we have a lot of usability and flexibility feature enhancements. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and show you a PowerPoint slide, and then we'll pop into the software itself and toggle back and forth. So the first exciting feature that we've updated is we have a freeze panes split table view. And what this is useful for is when you have very large reports, task lists, Gantt charts, anything that you want to be able to get your information more rapidly and quickly, you can do that. So let's pop into the software. Now you'll see I'm just on the login page here, and I do want to call out the fact that on the right-hand side, as you log in, if you're a hosted customer, you're going to see updated information that is useful to you and your team. You'll always see blue hypertext links to, in this case, the feature list in the community, and to our training and webinar calendar, and then to some of our other blogs and webinars. So you'll always know what's going on with Project Insight if you check out the login page. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to a report that I've prepared that's kind of long, and I'll go ahead and click that from my favorites page, and I'll go ahead and collapse that left-hand navigation to give us a little bit more room. And there are a couple of ways that you can use the freeze pane. So if you've used Excel a little bit, you'll know that it's very similar to that. And the easiest way we find is to use the right-click. So if you simply right-click on the column that you'd like to add the freeze header and left panes to, you can select that choice directly there from that column. So you'll see that thicker gray bar gives you the columns and the ability to scroll inside of that while you keep your left column frozen. The second way that you can do this is to go to your page display options, and you'll notice the options are here. So if you're already selecting columns to view on your report, task list, or Gantt chart, you can easily opt for that here. The other way is that you can select it as a column and decide where you'd like it to go, and then go ahead and refresh and run the report. Now keep in mind, just like with all reports, task lists, and Gantt charts, if you'd like to save it as a quick selection, you may. And the nice thing about that is that's going to be available for you for any report. And if you're a system administrator like I am today, you can make it available as a global view for the rest of your team members as well. So let's just go ahead and update that. And I've changed where I have that in my view. Now the second feature that we have, one second. We've also added the ability to view any report, project, table, task list in full screen. And what that means is that you can remove all of the Project Insight application elements from view. And this is terrific, again, when you're trying to get a little bit bigger view of your project or your report. And everybody knows they've had those situations. So let's pop back into the software. And basically, all I need to do is to double-click the header, any of these column headers, and you'll see that it's removed all of the Project Insight navigation elements. And both of these are very usable, flexible features, and they give you, obviously this gives you more room on your computer screen to view whatever it is you're viewing. Okay, now the third addition that we've added is the ability to view comments by team member using their photograph. So the way we're going to do that is if I'm going to go to a task on a specific project, and you'll see a discussion thread or comment series going on this particular task. And if you have photographs in the user profile for each team member, you'll see not only the date and time that that person made the comment, but you'll also see their photograph. Now that is a setting that you can opt for in the system administration section. Okay. And you'll find that when you go to Administration System Configuration Settings, you'll find it under the Comments options, and it'll be right here. All right. Now this next feature is something that our customers have asked for quite a bit. And this is the ability to see your cross-project resource allocation reports not only by work hours, but also by the % of that resource's workday. So let's pop over into the software, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I have a saved report here, and I've stacked my cross-project resource allocation by department, and I've opted to take a look at next quarter. And I'm looking at week totals here. And what you'll see is I've checked off the checkbox for expressing this as the graph as the % of the person's workday. And I've also exposed the column for that as well as the estimated amount of work. And it's easy to do. It's just like every other selection process in Project Insight. You're simply going to check off that checkbox. And if you'd like to show the graph by percentage as well, you may. And you can add, of course, add or remove any columns to that report. Okay. Now, this was also something asked for by a lot of our marketing teams and interactive teams that use the to-dos. The to-dos they can be independent of projects and tasks, or they can be associated with tasks and projects. And what they wanted was a way to report on all to-dos across all systems, whether they were affiliated with a project or not. So let's go into the system, and I'll show you the example. So in this particular to-do report, I have it rolled up or grouped by project. And you will find them in the reports section. And if you navigate to the reports itself, you'll see this new tab for to-dos. And you simply create a new to-do report. And I've got mine already saved. And as usual, you can open up the display options to make your choices. So they can be open to-dos, closed to-dos. There are group bys and subtotals, just like on all the other reports. And then you can select new columns just by double-clicking and adding those to the right there. You'll also see the freeze header and split table options here. And don't forget that you can also save these as quick selections, just like any other report or view in Project Insight. Okay, the next addition is the ability to report on all comments across the system. And in terms of reporting, we've also added, if you're using a two-tiered time approval process, project managers as approvers are now available as a selection on the timesheet report. So that only applies if you're using the two-tiered time entry process and approval process. Go ahead and escape out of here. And I'll go back into the system itself. And this is just an example of an all comments report, and I've actually selected just team members or users comments. As you may know, it is a configuration to have system auto-generated comments as well, and I'll show you in a minute. I've saved a different report for that. You could, of course, aggregate them together, but you can see all of the comments that John has posted and all of the comments that Jill has posted. Her comment, what item it's on, who's the author, and whatever the created date was. And just like all the other reports, you can name it, save it, and share it with other team members as well. And again, same thing, page display options. This allows you to choose a date range or choose particular type of item that you want to report by, choose specific authors, group bys, subtotals, adding columns, removing them, and so on. And the second example I have for you today is the all systems comment report. So this last one was just about team members' manual input of comments, and these are the system auto-generated comments. And you'll know that they're system-generated comments by the fact that they're in brackets. So anytime you see a comment in brackets, it's being generated by the system. And these will track things like, when did the project start date change? When did the percentage complete of a task change? Those sorts of things. So teams that like the idea of capturing an audit trail can use those. Okay, the other exciting update with 9.2 is our ability to import users from Microsoft Excel. This is probably more useful if you're starting out or if you're adding a whole new department or team to your Project Insight instance. But nonetheless, it's very flexible and easy to use. So let's go into the system here. Okay. Now what's nice about our import from Excel is that you can decide which columns you'd like to be in your import. And you do that by starting in the administration section and pulling up your users, and you can choose the columns that you'd like to have in your own personalized import simply by adding a column or removing it from view, just like you do with any task list or report. And you'll also find in the quick selections that we've offered to you a default user import. And this has all of the commonly used fields. So once you've got the columns that you'd like to have imported, you basically go to the export and export to CSV. Now, once your Excel file is open, you're going to save your Excel template. This is your user import template, and you need to check Save As an Excel 97-2003 file, not as a CSV file. And you'll also find all of these instructions, by the way, in the Project Insight community. So don't worry about taking notes. They're all there step by step. Then you put your users into your Excel template and, of course, save it somewhere on your hard drive or network. And when you're ready to import, you simply check this checkbox, or excuse me, the Import Users icon. And you're going to leave the default settings. And you're going to browse to find your Excel file with your users on the list. And at that point, it will ask you to validate the user. So you can check off all the names, or you can selectively choose the folks that you want to add to Project Insight. Now, the nice thing about the hosted or SaaS, if you're a hosted or SaaS customer, you're going to be able to add as many users as you wish. Now, be careful, because you may not want to add quite that many. If you're using an installed edition, it will only allow you to import the number of users that you're licensed for. Okay. All right. Now, on to a different category, which are the team member updates. We have quite a few upgrades and changes, and these are all configurations. So what you're looking at right now, this is an administrative point of view. We are on the default task options. This can be set at the global level or at the project level, of course. And the idea here is this last checkbox, if you check this off, what this allows is for, if you have multiple team members on a single task, what this will do is allow each individual to update his or her percentage complete, and the system will calculate where that task is based on all those individual inputs. So, for example, right now, the only person that can, before 9.2, I should say, the only person that could update percentage complete was the task owner. Well, now, if you check this off, each individual can update that percentage complete. So if you have two people on a task and one is 50% complete and one is 0% complete, the system's going to calculate how far along they are as a group. And so this is where that setting is. Now, the other team member update setting that you can create is this is to minimize the number of clicks that a team member has to make. We can offer a bunch of, there's about 6 different ways to allow people to update their tasks. And I'm going to show those to you in the system here. Hang on one sec. Okay. So again, if you are an administrator, you navigate to Administration and then Default Project Options. And you'll see the checkbox we just talked about here. And then some of the options for updating the actual start date and actual end date of a task are listed here. Now, you can choose no auto-population, which is the default and which is what we had prior to today. Or you could say, I want the actual start date to be the scheduled date when somebody checks it off. I'd like the actual start date to be entered when the percentage complete has been updated. And then you can also restrict it, saying once it's been updated initially, no editing is allowed on that. So that's more of a controlled choice. You can say, I'd like the actual start date to be when any percentage complete has been updated on that task. And it can be date and time driven. Or the actual start date could be updated when the first time entry has been added or updated. And again, both of those options are, you can control that, so there's no editing allowed on those if you so choose. So you need to pick that here, and you can pick the end date, same options for the end date as well. Okay, now This was a popular request. For those of you that haven't used the mobile applet yet, you'll see that you can toggle from right within your Project Insight instance. You can see it right down here, mobile. And more than likely when you're looking at it in a mobile environment, it's shaped more like a narrow rectangle. But one of the things that was requested was the ability to see not only the tasks, but the projects that they were associated with. And if you haven't tried this mobile applet out, you should take a look at it, because it is designed for team members to update their task status, and they can also add time entries, they can manage their to-dos and other things from within the applet. So being on the road or at the client site is no longer an excuse for not doing your updates. All right. There have also been some changes to the project options, and with templates there have been various additions over time. The last update included the ability to add to-dos on a project template, and you could opt to carry those over or not. And now we've added the ability to carry shortcut links over on project templates as well. So if you have a location, for example, that you have a lot of items stored and you want to drive the team to that location instead of putting those items in Project Insight, you can add those to your template. There are also new forcing task options down to all tasks, and that's at the system level and the project level and so on. Now, by popular demand too, we've updated the way that the folders save, and now we have added the Save and Display option, as well as the Save and Add New option when you go to add a new folder. So this behaves a lot more like the other items inside of Project Insight. The other thing is you'll see the full version number of Project Insight is displayed in Administration under System Configuration, and you'll also see that displayed at the bottom of your Project Insight instance as well. Other administrative changes include the ability to see the system usage and the total number of active users and licenses, and that is also found in Administration under System Usage. So you can view at any point in time how many total active users you have, how many total users you might have in the system. In this case, we have 19 active but 63 total. That means the remainder are really inactive resources. And you can always, as always, you can see your disk usage or your storage usage as well. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about the comments, and if you'd like to see the types of system-generated, auto-generated comments, they are listed in System Configuration under Comments, and they're listed right here, so you can see which things are enabled. And obviously, if it's not listed here, it is not available. This next one was also requested by a customer, and it is the option to have approvals automatically activate and send upon saving. So we had some folks that were forgetting to check the checkbox off, and with a lot of volume and a busy work schedule, it's easy to overlook that. So if you prefer, you can set it to automatically activate and send approvals. And again, that's in System Configuration Settings. Lastly, we spent some time improving the CSS client-side caching, and that's simply to give you better performance in general. All right, well, I'm going to pause and take a look at the questions and see if there are some questions out there. I believe there are, so hang on one second. I see one question in the queue at this point. It looks like it's possibly specific to that customer, and I'm not sure. What I'm going to do is forward that on to support to make sure that that there isn't something going on there. You guys, I'll give you a couple more minutes in case you have any questions so far. I think the other thing that's important to remember is you do have access from your Project Insight instance to the community, and you will find the feature list there. So if you simply type in 9.2 in the community, you'll see the feature list and all of the features there, some screenshots, and then the Excel import directions are there as well. And don't forget, just as a reminder in general, that we have over 150 hours of recorded training, and they are all here under the videos, free of charge for you to use as resources. So not only the Getting Started section, which is really designed for new customers, those in the introductory webinars, but we've also launched in 2011 the IT methodology webinars, and we have new release information here. And then we do have the PMI, project management webinars that are valid for PBUs if you're trying to maintain your PMP certification. Then the advanced product training webinars are here. These are the 45-minute to an hour training webinars, so these are more deep dives. And we've also launched a new series in 2011 on best practices webinars, and these are designed to share with you the wealth of information that we've learned from our customer base over time. So these are brand new, and even if you're an older customer, you'll find a lot of value in those. Then if you have developers that are interested in integrating or customizing the application, we do have a section for web services and SDK as well. Not only that, of course, you can always ask your question into a forum, or you can search the knowledge base, read our blogs, and so on. Okay, I don't see any new questions, so have fun trying out the new features. And if you do have any questions or concerns, all you really need to do is go to that blue help button and request support, saying I have a question, I have a feature suggestion, or if you think you've identified a possible bug, go ahead and select that one and give as detailed a description as you can. We want to thank you all for helping us to make the product better. We have incorporated over 80 different updates and fixes that were directly given to us from our customer base. So we hope you enjoy playing around with the new version. Have a good day.